Okay, welcome to Movie Talk!
Movie Talk!
Movie Talk!
Today we're
As
reviewing...
usual, major spoilers. If you haven't seen this movie yet, please go watch it.
And what movie are we watching today? Or reviewing today, rather? Heather?
We're reviewing Don't Mess with the Zohan.
You don't mess with the Zohan.
Oh, no, you didn't. And who are we reviewing it with today, Heather?
Emily from London.
Excellent.
Heather from San Francisco. And
yeah, you know this is going public, right?
out to our 2 viewers. Okay. So, You Don't Mess with the Zohan was made in 2008 by Mr. Adam Sandler. So, we're going to talk about this film.
I would put it in the sweet but missed category, meaning that many people missed its sweetness.
Would you like to say more about its sweetness, Heather?
Don't be a dick. Marty.
sweet but missed category.
Did you not think it was sweet, Emily?
It was sweet. Yeah. Yeah. What makes you think it was missed?
Heather?
Well, I think people kind of push it off as sort of like a trifling, funny film and miss that there is actually kind of a deeper message, which is that it's kind of all about dreams and love and contact, making connection. Yeah. And I think a lot of people miss that. That's what I have to say about that.
What would you say the overall message of the film is, Heather?
Just that. I think it's about following your dreams and being connected.
Okay. What do you think it was about, Emily?
I think it has many complex layers.
Mm-hmm.
Such as.
It's just a little bit maybe too deep for me.
You're now, you have to go there.
Do I?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I found it just quite entertaining. I didn't maybe get those, and I did find it, aspects of it sweet, found aspects of it a little concerning. But yeah, I'm not sure I felt the, all about love and following dreams-ness of it. I think I see where you are with that, but yeah. So maybe I missed it. How about you, Marty?
I thought it was a view of love and community and communion as seen through basically a kind of sweet adolescence.
Uh-huh.
And that Zohan represented that perspective. He was essentially a well-meaning child. And it wasn't really a story of growing up as it was of, I think Heather's right, I think he knew his dreams, but the context he was in, right, the cultural context, wasn't allowing him to express his dreams. Right, so he had to find a different context. But he didn't really grow up so much as he just found a space that was supportive of his own desire, rather than the cultural imposition of desire.
Now I feel like crying. I feel so moved. It was one of the most moving films of the year, actually. You're right, it's been totally missed. Okay. So this is kind of the remit of this, isn't it? This is like, because I haven't see, like the films that you have so far reviewed, I've seen none of them, and it was Nils who told me that you actually that they have all been kind of lighter, funnier, whatever films. Although it sounds like the last two, I don't think so. Those were not right. Those were, yeah, and so that was news to me because I didn't know the other films. So yeah, so that's it. So you're kind of taking looking at things on a really different level from what most people would about these films. Is that right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
That is
so
our
I will try to go there. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Yeah. Okay.
Would you like to say, given that remit, would you like to say more about You Don't Mess with the Zohan?
Why don't you guys go, and I will kind of join in then as you get my brain working in that direction.
Okay.
All right.
Would you like to say more, Heather?
Start it off.
Well, it was the context felt a little bit like Wes Anderson's films, except a little more, it was definitely an alternative universe with the symbols and the forms and the shapes of our current universe, but definitely tweaked about 20 degrees to the left. And it was, I felt like it was making fun of, I think it was Juvenalian satire, which is the good-spirited rather than the savage satire. So
right.
Good-spirited satire out of the sort of Israeli, kind of tough guy image. I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, think about what we said at the very end, right? It was just like suddenly your heart just swells with delight and just at the whole sweetness of it. That here they are. They've basically been through this whole thing with the mall people and having the community burned down, but then they're still community again, even if it's within the mall context, but that everybody kind of gets what they want, that the Phantom gets his shoe store, which he's always wanted, and that's crappy Coco. Zohan gets his salon, which he's always wanted, and his parents are accepting and proud of him, and the goat guy gets a goat. It's like everything works out for everyone, basically. The going out of business is still out there, and so there's just something really kind of just sweetly delightful at the end of the film. In the midst of all the funny, like, yeah, I can catch bullets in my teeth or drop a piranha in my pants and all of that kind of stuff, and the just sort of the silliness, but the sweetness of just kind of people getting what they want. And that's kind of a theme all throughout the movie. Even these women who would normally be shunned by society, he finds thrillingly wonderful, and they get what they want, like after their haircut, they get the shagging. And so kind of everybody gets what they need in a way, not even what they want, but what they need, it seems like. Kind of almost core needs, I suppose, if you will.
Well, we've talked about, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, so I think that just comes through theme-wise, in the midst of all these trappings of the humor and the slapstick and but this deep quality of just delight. Yeah.
We've talked about in terms of the term the beloved, right,
yes.
Which draws from Hafiz, I think.
It draws from what?
Hafiz.
Hafiz.
The Persian
He's
poet.
a poet of room time.
Yeah. as the place, as defined as the place where one's contact with spirit or the divine shines through the relative forms of one's own ego. So where one can actually see the divine in one's life and experience it, it's the beloved. And it seems like this film was sort of creating this this story of people finding the context that allows for their embracing their various beloveds, and it's phrased in kind of silly, easily digestible forms. But what animates all of these people is their desire to contact with their beloved, right? The shoe store, the hairdressing, they all, the goat, etc. They're all lighting up because of that contact. You know, and there's a certain kind of mild cultural critique of the sort of traditionalist cultures versus modernist cultures, as more or less allowing of people's individual take on the beloved versus the culturally imposed take. So that, I mean, I see that as an underlying structure. Like where people's joy comes from is they're being supported to embrace their own version of the beloved. And so there's that delight. You know, where people delight, they're contacting something profound. Right? Delight doesn't come from satisfying, material needs per se, or eating for the sake of the body's need to eat. That's not where delight really comes from. It comes from form giving contact to something deeper and more profound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, when you see somebody, it's funny, like we're a society that's like, yes, you must succeed and have money and power and status, and yet we always root for the underdog parts of ourselves. Like, here's this guy who's got power and status, and he wants to be a hairdresser, but you can feel his earnestness for that, making the world silky smooth. And we root for that totally, because I think, we see underneath kind of all the trappings of, everybody should have power and status and blah, blah. But really, we want to support, unconsciously, I think, more unconsciously than not, but we want to support the sense of that underdogness, or being people being able to be who they want to be.
Yeah, I mean that itself may be culturally or developmentally defined. Like who's watching it? Not everyone's going to support that kind of individualistic take on delight or on the beloved. I think that's part of the sort of value struggle in the film is between a culturally oppressive context, Israeli culture, or sort of the redneck reactionary culture, or power that comes through individualist kind of avarice, like the mall guy. The guy who's trying to develop the mall.
Right.
So it's a film that comes down on the side of, love, really, as overpower.
Right. Yeah, because all the people who seek power don't get what they want in the film.
Yeah.
The mall guy doesn't get his mall, and he loses his perfectly proportioned girlfriend. Well, I don't know if I would debate about the redneck who gets thrown into the gay party with George Takei, which is one of my favorite parts.
You don't think he was being punished? You think he got secretly what he wanted?
He may have.
Puppies and gay men?
You know what I mean? Hello?
What?
Oh, yeah. I said he may have. You don't know.
Well, on the extras, Dave Matthews says, I end up in this room full of gay men, and I'm not sure if it's heaven or hell.
That's right. I mean, even the gay men get what they want. They get this, they get the puppies, the cute puppies, and it's like, I don't know. there's just something so. It's just delightful.
Why?
How did you guys know of the film? I mean, it was the first time you saw it.
No.
No. Second.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were talking about that and trying to figure out where did it come from that we saw this before, and I don't know if we figured that out.
Yeah, we can't
like
figure
how
out
we
where
got
we
introduced
saw it initially. We can't figure out where we saw it initially.
Yeah.
I was surprised it was only 6 years ago. For some reason, I had it like way back when. But
yeah.
I think it's for what is it, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, or
2008.
whatever the simple math is, 7 years ago. That it actually stands up pretty well.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Emily, would you like to jump in and say anything?
Oh gosh, I kind of feel that I don't really belong in the conversation. Actually,
Why?
I'm totally excited and interested in listening to you guys, and feeling quite provoked listening to you guys. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit stuck, to be honest.
You are welcome.
Yeah.
Well, here,
You are
I'm going to
welcome
throw
in this.
something in there because you emailed and said, "Oh, maybe shouldn't do this movie," right?
Yeah.
And why was that?
So I started off just feel like as soon as it started, I watched it with Halia, and then Nils came in later. But as soon as it began, I was like, "Oh, this is exactly perfect. This is exactly my kind of film. I really love films that don't require much thought." And just that are delightful and entertaining and silly and dumb, and that's my kind of film. But so I was quite enjoying it at the start, and then as time went on, I started to go, oh wait, I started to feel uncomfortable with. I started to wonder if it felt to me like, oh gosh, this seems a bit like an Israeli propaganda film, and we kept it going, and then we could only watch half of it in one night because Haley had school, so we had to wrap it up. And then that night, I was there were just more and more things being dropped in the film that were making me a bit uneasy. And then I had a little bit of a cheated and had a little bit of a search around to see, was it just me, or is this what's going on here? Apparently it was criticized a lot for being a bit of a propaganda film, and even within Hollywood, I think they got a fair amount of criticism. So I thought, okay, so it was not just me, maybe, but I don't know. Just so I'm listening to you guys and feeling like, all right, I'll step back and rethink, and I don't want to be reactive, and I don't want to be, ideological, dogmatic, whatever. But yeah, there were just a number of kind of moments where I was like, ooh, and like one was when it had the children throwing the rocks at Zohan. And of course, that imagery in real life is just so potent. The imagery that has come out, that part of the world of the children kind of throwing rocks, and of course, what really happens is that they get shot sometimes for throwing the rocks. But in this film, their rocks were the power of the rocks and the power of the symbolism of what's behind the children to do that, why they're doing it. It's just, I think, kind of absolutely taken away by him turning it into a funny kind of balloon animal and giving it back to the kids. And I was like, oh God, it just felt, I was like, I didn't like it. I don't know, and I kind of wished. I mean, I really there was no reason why the film had to be about the Israel-Palestine conflict. Like, it could have just as easily been a kind of a nameless territory somewhere in the world, and been been really good, and I think preferable. But it was about that, and the Palestinians were always called terrorists, and I don't know, so I was uncomfortable with that.
Did you feel that by the end of the film?
Yes. Yeah, I did. Yeah. But I mean, I like, when you were speaking at the start, Heather, about, or was it Marty? I don't remember, about it being a kind of adolescent kind of sunny, hopeful view on life and the world and how things can be. Well, yeah, okay. Like it did have it was it just felt it did have, I could see it as just naive and yeah, kind of an adolescent naivety about things, and not feel as uncomfortable. I mean, I enjoyed it, right? I just kind of wished that it hadn't pulled that in the Israel-Palestine thing,
mm-hmm.
and it did.
Yeah, Heather, do you have any comments on it?
It's kind. I mean, we also had a chance to watch the extras because we bought the Blu-ray. And apparently the Israelis were played by Israelis and the Palestinians were played by Palestinians. So they had a chance to kind of be together on the set, and they talked a lot about, like, they were interviewing the actors about, well, what was that like to be, on the set with these folks? And a lot of them said, we had a lot of conversations, and sometimes they turned political, and sometimes they didn't, and but we became friends. And one guy said, like, I feel like it really changed my life, and in a lot of ways that I got to see these people as people, So I think in that way, there was kind of more of a narrative in the background about there was a recognition that, of course, this stuff is going on. And I think, in an adolescent way, it was still trying to say, look, there can be the combination here, and that people can work together. When they come together to make the sonic sound or whatever it was, that hadn't been done in 2,000 years because they've been at war for that long. And then I think hearing the actors talk about that gave it a lot more context in terms of that, like that piece of the this whole long history that's been going on over there. It was really hard for me to see any political sort of stuff. I think I even said that during the film. I was like, I'm not getting sort of any hidden political agenda or propaganda, I guess, for me. It seems like like the Phantom and Zohan seem pretty matched in terms of skill and all that. But I don't know. What do you think, Marty?
Well, I'm using it now. I feel like, I hear what you're saying, Emily. It's like I'm comparing, like, if they had been making comedy about the falling of the Twin Towers, right? Like, what would that be like? And with the imagery being repurposed like that. Yeah, I mean, I can see, I have some empathy for that. I guess I can't hold the whole film to task for that, because it is basically a younger side of adolescent view, and yet the values it's espousing, to at least my Western however I contextualize my mind, at least to my mind, the values are unassailable. Love, individual freedom, collective purpose, diminution of the power drive, compassion. And understanding that doesn't dumb down each other's differences. So, Yeah, it's not a very, I actually I didn't feel like it was cagey. I feel like it actually, probably Sandler is just not that complex a guy.
Yeah, but what about, so I mean, the person who wrote it, do you think that his own perspective is kind of naive and adolescent, whatever, or do you think that so do you think he was writing kind of from his own place, and that's as kind of as sophisticated as he's capable of what he could get, or do you think that he was writing it for a young person's mind?
Oh no, I don't think it was written. I don't think it was a film for young people per se. It wasn't particularly an adult film either. But I think the essential values were sound adult ones. I don't know. I would say that the feeling of
all the penis and humor.
Oh yeah, no, well, yeah, right. The vernacular of the film was pretty adolescent, right? The ejaculatory hummus that puts out the fire and so forth. It's all pretty adolescent male tropes. But I didn't. So I don't know. Who knows? Maybe there's more complexity behind it. But I didn't get a feeling from the film of either cynicism or caginess. I felt quite sincere within its own sort of developmental range. So that, I guess that's, and also actually the guy who wrote it was one of the Palestinian actors who was interviewed on the making of stuff. And he seemed like kind of basically a good-natured Hollywood writer type who wasn't particularly complex in his outlook or his sense of history.
It was partly written by a Palestinian, because the New York Times article said that they had an incredibly hard time finding any non-Israelis to be willing to play the parts.
Uh-huh.
But it was co-written. What is it? Who wrote it then? This I assumed he was an Israeli.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Or wait, was he? No, I think he was Jewish. I don't think he was Israeli.
Okay.
I don't know. It seems there's even a larger question. I think it kind of begs, which is, let's see. So as contrasted with something like No Country for Old Men, which I hated about as much as anything I've ever hated, which I think is actually a venal, vile, anti-human film.
Yeah.
By nature, and I don't think it's a question of perspective. Actually, I think it's eminently arguable. This film, Zohan, it seems like what you come away from it seems a lot to do with your particular perspective. That sits on sort of a horizontal plane with other perspectives. So I can have sympathy for a kind of political reading of the film that finds it. Worthwhile of taking down, or of a kind of political critique. I just don't see it. That's not what it means to me. I can see that, and I can hold critiques that are complexly political and economic and so forth. But I don't need to do that with this film. I can get something else out of it. So it seems like there's certain films which allow you more room to put whatever frame you want around it, and others that don't. And I feel like this one has a lot more openness to which frame you put around it. Although they all seem, I think there's validity to whatever frame you might put around it, whether it's a political one, an artistic one, or.
Yeah, the end too was, so their neighborhood wasn't destroyed by some outside developer building a mall, but they built a soulless, lifeless mall themselves anyway. I was like, really? Like, come on, dude.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't soulless and lifeless. It was filled with their own love and their own passions.
Yeah, everybody
happy. Okay. How totally, terribly unlike any mall you've ever been in. I mean, that's like...
What do you mean, physically?
Jamie. Yeah, I mean, malls, do you ever go into a shopping mall and feel delight?
No, because most of them don't have people who are living out their particular passions. Most of them are all chain stores. But that wasn't this mall.
To be able to afford to the mall, you have to be. So yeah. So it's just a continuation of a dreamy fantasy that somehow we could have. Yeah, I don't know.
Wait, finish your thought. We could have what?
Yeah, I'm curious about the end of that one too.
I don't know. There's something to me about kind of it's not when I avoid going to shopping malls. It's not because they are corporate. It's not because they're chains. It's because somehow a gigantic building that is just full of sparkly things for consuming itself kind of sucks the air out of me, sucks the life out of me. So I can't picture going to any mall that I would enjoy. You know, like I just can't see it. Like
even one filled with curious characters like in this one, who are obviously joyed to be doing what their passion is.
Hey, but hold on, could that ever happen? I mean,
Why not?
Not this world.
That's right. Can you prove that?
It is really hard for me to picture that. Kind of meccas of consumption, temples of consumption could ever be something that I would really.
Yeah, but that seems to me a sort of concept which squeezes out the individuality of what's being, like, in other words, saying all they're doing there is creating religious forms of consumption seems to be a really monolithic imposition of theory onto what is actually much more particular. The fact is, we do consume.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's human. That's part of human life. So to put it out there as if it's this categorical anathema or contradiction to living seems a bit problematic.
I'm not saying that. I don't think that I've said that.
Well, but you were saying that this was another temple to consumption in this film.
Yeah, that is what it felt like.
I'm saying,
like what it felt like, and I mean, it's just. Yeah.
I think you can make that critique. There is this kind of silly notion of capitalism, or this naive notion, and there's a bit at the end where it's like, and we're all united by being able to express our economic dreams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay, you could make a fairly sophisticated, or you wouldn't take much to make a critique of that, but I don't think that was the heart of the film. I think you can focus on that, and I think there's actually validity to make that kind of critique of a film like this. I just don't think that was the heart of it, or the intention of it.
What do you think was the intention of it? Like, what do you think? Like, when the writer or writers sat down, they thought, we want to make a film that is, like what? What was it? Go on.
To express a delight. I don't know if they would say a naive or adolescent or child's delight. Maybe, but it was implicit. But to express a delight in people enjoying each other, finding commonalities in each other, and loving each other.
Is that what you think they had in mind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How explicit or conscious it was for them is a question mark about those particular people, but that's what comes through the film, and that seems to me the heart of the film. Like because his perspective, he was somehow jury-rigged into being a warrior, but his heart...
So good, though. Come on.
He was very good. Yeah, it was a loss. We could argue that, for sure.
I'd feel safe in his company.
Yeah, I would too. I would feel safe with him as my hairdresser.
Yeah?
I would definitely, that would be an hour in the chair where I'd feel pretty much impervious to the dangers of the world. And silky smooth.
And how would you feel about Heather being one of his clients?
Before he was married? Well, he seemed to like the older women better, so...
Yeah.
So...
So sorry.
But his innocence about his heart, his loving, I thought really was the core of the film. That
was really nice. I really liked his relationship to the elderly women as well. And there was a part of me that was just going, somehow this should be disturbing me on some level, not about the age gap, but something about I didn't think about it too deeply, but yeah, something's really, really wrong here. It's about gender or something like that. And it's like, oh, just don't think about it. It's great.
Yeah.
Lucky ladies.
Well, so maybe that's what the film essentially is it? Well, I mean, in its essence, it seems like this is what the world looks like through the eyes of an innocent heart.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know the world has many other complex features and terrible features, but maybe that's one way to think about this film, that this is what the world looks like through that young heart.
Yeah.
That hasn't essentially been broken or fragmented. Yeah. So in that sense, even though it's maybe a pre, it's not a complexly developed heart, nonetheless, the core value seems to me to be unassailable, which is basically kind of a purity of love and appreciation of others.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked the home life of the family he was staying with, the mom and the son. Yeah. Yeah. Something, yeah. Oh, God. Heather?
Yes?
Haven't heard you for a while.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the heart of the movie is what I said before. It's about the sense of getting your core needs met, finding ways to really get what you want and to do what you want. I think we're so often stuck in roles that we don't want to be in because we think we have to.
Mm-hmm.
And here was this culture saying that he has to be a certain way, and when he brings up that he doesn't, like his father even says, like, oh, I didn't know you were gay, right? Like, so there's these assumptions that you can't follow that, or you can, but then you'll be judged in certain ways. So to me, that was just that kind of, I wanted to root for all those underdog parts of us that in the end do win out, So, yeah. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So, yay, underdog parts.
I liked the relaxed way that his colleagues at the hairdressing salon dealt with his relations with his elderly. I mean, even his wife-to-be, who we didn't know yet was going to be his wife-to-be. I bet you never saw that coming. Right. Actually, I bet you never saw that coming. Yeah, even she was really chill about it, huh? Really quite open-minded.
Yeah.
Look at the bottles are falling off the wall
every time. Yeah.
Right, and the very first time, Claude, I think his name was. He's like, kind of looks over, but then like the subsequent, even when the shelves are falling off the walls, he's like, yeah, whatever. Doesn't even blink.
Yeah.
That's the power of a pure heart. Right? It changes the perspectives of everyone around it.
Yeah.
Which it did.
Yeah.
And you notice, like,
Actually, that's
again,
true, yeah.
he remained pure. He didn't actually grow or develop, but other people around him did. Like, for instance, the son, right? I mean, arguably, you could wonder about what direction he went and developed, but he essentially was seen to have shed some of his inhibitions and finding a bit more space and bravado in the world. So
Did he?
Yeah. Remember, he was a hairdresser at the end, and he was grinding up on
wild,
one of his
sexy hairdresser.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess Zohan is about the power of the pure heart, huh?
Yeah, I'll vote for that.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we pretty much covered it.
So how many thumbs?
Oh, I'm gonna
Or what kind of thumbs are these?
two fully erect thumbs.
2 fully erect thumbs.
Yeah.
I give it 2 fully erect thumbs as well.
I just feel so moved now. I'm gonna go watch it again and cry.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Once you get that angle on the heart aspect of the film, it just opens up like a flower, like a beautiful flower.
So this is what you do each time, yeah?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Pretty much.
I like the world from your guys' perspective.
from naive, innocent hearts.
Yeah, no, I really do. I could, yeah. More of that. Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna do 1 thumbs up, but I'm gonna only have a thumb.
Just 1 thumb?
You can have a fully erect thumb and a semi-erect thumb. That's okay.
It's just gotta be that I have only 1 thumb, but it's up.
Did you have an accident? Did you lose a thumb? Because I didn't hear about that. That makes me very sad.
No, but tonight
you won't be able to twiddle your thumbs anymore. You just twiddle a thumb. It'll be very frustrating.
Yeah. Tonight when Nilson's making dinner, I said, "Oh, watch your fingers, watch your fingers," when he was cutting really fast. And he says, "Oh, you care about me. You care about me." I was like, "Just the fingers."
All right, I think we're done with this episode of Movie Talk. What do you think?
Yay!
Yay, we did it.
Okay.
You're going to be famous.